It's Saturday night.
Time for your weekly dose of pop culture
with Kathy and Kenny. Welcome to the show.
Welcome. Hope you enjoyed our little intro. I just did that. Did you see that intro, Kenny?
I saw that intro. I like that intro.
Did you like that intro?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear.
I like that intro a lot.
I didn't spend that much time on it, but I kind of put it together. So give me a little room. Let me play it just one more time. Just one more time.
Okay, good. Play it one more time.
It's Saturday night.
Time for your weekly dose of pop culture
with Kathy and Kenny. Welcome to the show. It's Saturday night.
Time for your weekly dose of pop culture
with Kathy and Kenny. Welcome to the show.
Carried away with it. So I hit it again. I didn't mean to hit it again. Oh, this is exciting. This is it's Kathy and Kenny explain pop culture, a little something we started doing here on Saturday nights, 8:30 for an hour, to take your mind off quarantine and all things. And this is kind of special show. Kenny, why don't you tell everybody about tonight's show?
Tonight's show is kind of special because number one, we have a special guest. And number two, the show is pretty much going to be about something that's very prevalent, and we're going to try to bring the entertainment side of things to it, and we're going to try to keep this upbeat. But the show is pretty much about how different movies, TV shows, songs. I even got some comic book characters that break the racial divide.
Of course, you have comic book characters. I'm sorry, go ahead. I stepped all over you.
No, I just did it. I just said it.
Okay, no, you said. And with that said, we are very excited to bring in our special guest. I don't have a formal introduction written up, but all you need to know is he is the king of meme. A former co-worker and just an awesome pop culture fan. One of the only people to get my references. That's because I worked with a bunch of young folks. They didn't understand. But please welcome to the show, Bruce Roberts.
Bruce,
hi guys.
The mighty Bruce. There he is.
Trying to find my camera here. Trying to find my camera.
Look,
here.
Man, you can't be coming on the show. Can't find your camera.
All right, sorry. Yeah, all my Zoom meetings with my students didn't quite get me where you're not
prepared.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Trying to be like all those cool people who do those videos from their car, but they probably got some kind of high-tech setup in there. But anyway,
I actually was on a webinar, and like a official kind of business webinar, and the guy doing the presentation was presenting from his car. So you are right up there with the pros, I guess.
Yeah, you're right up there with the pros,
So again, as we've been doing the stream, we get different people always visiting in. And of course, our dad always listens, and he might be down here. Who knows? Because he likes to be on camera too. So he liked the beginning, and that's kind of cool.
Did you disconnect the house phone?
Oh, that's right. We do have a call-in number, so if you want to call in.
Are you recording?
Oh, thank you for the reminder.
Yes.
I'm recording now because in addition to doing this live stream, we also cut it up, chop it down to about 30, 40 minutes to do the podcast. Kathy and Kenny explain pop culture, and that podcast now you can find it on Apple and Spotify, I believe. Pandora, I think the listing is coming. We're still not on Pandora yet, but wherever you get podcasts, look for that. As well as I just want to remind people, I do my own podcast, Year of AP and Dangerously, about my life as an AP, and a new episode of that just dropped this week, so check it out. But anyway,
nice.
Getting to tonight's topic. We, like my brother said, with everything going on in the world, we're just looking at the relationships between the races and how does that look in pop culture. So usually we have kind of like the behind the scenes. There's a document, and I usually get it started with today's date and the topic and just some categories that we're going to talk about. And I created it and sent out the link, and I come back like an hour later, and Kenny and Bruce both have like totally populated this list with about 28 different movies. And
yeah, we were on fire this afternoon. We were on fire.
I saw it. I was just like, okay, everything I could think of, you guys put down here. Although I don't agree with a lot of these, but we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Before we go on, I want to shout out, say hi to Cheryl Toombs. I want to say hi to Kamini, who's listening, and my daughter Justine.
All right. Hello. I'm sorry, Bruce. You're fading out. We can't hear you.
Bruce, he's still too. He's like a robot right now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we have to.
Well, you know what? I'm watching him backstage, so if his stream kicks back in, and I have to tell you, part of the reason we wanted to do the show is he went out. Okay, hopefully he'll work on his connection and he'll come back again. I know he had a family event that he was at, so I don't know if he's on the way home or getting home, but hopefully Bruce will be back with us. But in one of our earlier episodes, I think we were talking about something, and Bruce made a comment, and he thought that he kind of shot me a message going, "Oh, hey, I wasn't trying to be offensive," and I'm like, I didn't even think of it as offensive. But again, given what's going on in the world, and I think people are learning to be sensitive about race and racial issues, and that's just cool. And I just know Bruce has a really keen sense of pop culture, so I wanted to make sure we included him in this discussion. One of the movies, I'm going to the bottom of the list and going to work my way up. Is that okay? Do you have the list?
Yeah, I have the list right here in front of me.
Okay, because I got the list in front of me. I got it on my iPad. I got it all kinds of ways. Okay, wait, he's coming back. Bruce is coming back. So when I get visual, I'll add him to the stream. But I wanted to make sure we were focusing on movies where there was a true kind of partnership or bond. I kind of stayed away, and I think we kind of stayed away from those movies, what I like to call the savior genre, where you have movies where, there's Bruce. He's back.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I had some technical difficulties here.
No worries. We were just talking about.
I really do feel like I'm back doing Zoom classes with my students. It was always something.
No, we were just about to hit the list. I was going to start at the bottom and kind of work our way up, but I also wanted to stress part of the list or these partnerships. We were going for things where it wasn't like that whole savior kind of thing. I like a movie like Hardball, which I love and I enjoy, but I think that's one of those movies that kind of promotes the myth of like this mythical, magical white person kind of saving the black folks. And I think we were trying to go for movies where there was more of a kind of like a bond and showing that unity with these folks. And one of those movies on here, number 28 on this list, was White Men Can't Jump, which was Woody Harrelson and
which is absolutely true, by the way. That is not a stereotype. That is not an insult. That is absolutely true. I have
wait. What about?
They can barely get off the ground.
Who's that? The Celtics player. I can't even think of his name right now. Maybe that's because I'm from Philly. Oh, whoa! Ed Brown is in the house.
Ed Brown, hello, Ed Brown
in the house. Hey, Ed Brown.
Ed Brown, we're trying to get you on the show next week, man.
Yeah, Ed Brown might be our guest next week. Again, our kind of subtitle of the show is Ebony and Ivory, but White Men Can't Jump. Next on the list, and I'm not sure who put this on there, and that was Posse, but I'm not quite sure what the connection was.
I put Posse on there because one of the factors in Posse, it was a Western by Mario Van Peebles, and one of the characters in there was Little J, who was a white soldier who got put in a black regiment, and he had to get along with everybody, and he wound up fighting next to these guys, and he wasn't the savior because he wasn't the lead, and he wound up dying before the end of the movie. But Posse was about this little black town that was about to be taken over by, the white town, and they fought him off. And Little Jay was one of the people that helped them out, and he wound up dying anyway. So that's why I
Okay.
put Posse in there.
Yeah. All right. Who put this next one in? In the heat of the night. And that I think
Well,
that's
I
also
put that in
on
there.
the show list.
I put that in there because number one, it's a classic.
Ah,
The movie's a classic, and it's also put it in the TV listing that we have in there because it was also a TV show. But this was, a 1960s South coming to terms with a black man in power and them working together to solve the crime.
okay. Again, not mad at you. I'm just trying to understand your list. And
Hey.
although I don't agree on the next one, Beverly Hills Cop, because
I didn't put that in there. I didn't put that in there.
That was an Eddie Murphy vehicle. That wasn't really.
Well,
Was that you, Bruce?
I did. I was just kind of thinking maybe it's because I saw it last night. They were marathoning them, but just the way he sort of brought his sort of style and culture into this very white world, and how they ended up having to kind of work together. It wasn't necessarily based on race, but just that he was just very different kind of person with his style and how he was able to kind of to bring it all together.
But the next one, I thought the 48 Hours franchise. I forgot all about that one with Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy. I think was a good a good kind of the buddy bonding movies.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I saw them, but if I remember, there was a lot of tension and strife. I mean, obviously it was a cop and a criminal, but there was just a lot of, I think, animosity kind of deep seated in that, but they kind of ended up
becoming friends. Yeah, and working together to solve the crime.
And actually, my mother was she was thinking about the Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan movies, but I can't remember the name of them.
Rush Hour.
Was that Rush
Hour? Okay,
Rush Hour.
That's it. We were having a brain. Oh, the studio lights are getting to me. Okay, or it could be my age. This next one, I do not know. Woodlawn. I do not know that movie.
I don't know that one either.
It's a 2015 movie. It's very similar to Remember the Titans. It is also based on a true story. It was set. It actually occurred in Alabama in 1973, but it was a very similar story. Integrated high school around a football team. It's more of a faith-based movie. There's a I think a traveling chaplain that comes in and does kind of a motivational speech with the team, and it's kind of got a little bit more of a faith element. It's very similar. If you didn't realize they were both true stories, you would almost think they just had kind of rebooted Remember the Titans with a little bit more of a faith-based message, but they are both rooted in actual high school events. One of the little subplots of the movie is that at the end, when they end up playing a big game at the end of the movie, and the team. Of course,
you always have to play a big game at the end of a sports movie.
It helps if that was a real story. So, but the quarterback on the opposing high school team was Jeff Rutledge. Not many people may know him, but he ended up playing for Alabama, won a national championship, and then went on to play in the NFL, won a couple of Super Bowls with, I think, the Giants.
I've heard of him.
And the Redskins. So not a superstar Hall of Famer, but Sean Astin is in the movie. He plays the coach.
Rudy.
Yeah.
That is awesome. See, that is why Bruce is on the show, because he comes with the facts. And now we got a good movie to check out, to look up. It's called Woodland Woodlawn from 2015.
2015, I think, was the release.
And so that might be one you could catch on Hulu or Netflix.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I also want to add into that, if anyone who is listening to us right now, if you have any other shows that you think bring the race together, please feel free to either call in, Kathy, give them the number, or send us a message or something and let us know. Join in on the conversation. We love it when people join in.
Okay. Next
Okay,
on the
that's
list.
Although usually it's me that's throwing all the comments
no,
out
no,
there.
Ed throws them in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Carlotta,
Ed.
Carlotta already told me that she might not be able to throw any in tonight because she's at a function. So there's a couple people who usually come in, and we have our cousin Lyndon on right now too, listening. And if Justine and Kamini are still listening, or Cheryl, they can chime in anytime they want to. But our next one on the
I
list,
hope Natalie's out there somewhere.
yeah,
Oh, I
where's that?
know.
Wherever she
She's
Where's
is.
she
probably
now?
packing and unpacking, getting
Oh,
her stuff all together
I ain't
out
got
in
time for these
Boise.
fools.
But
I'm
if
packing,
Natalie,
yeah.
if you're out there, by all means, hello. We miss you so much. So
Yes, we do.
So the next one we have on our list is Blazing Saddles. I put Blazing Saddles on the list, even though it's a comedy and it's one of the funniest movies ever. I put Blazing Saddles on the list because this story is all about race,
Yes.
where Bart comes to town and originally he's about to hang because he was disrespectful to the white guys and because he hit the guy with a shovel and he wasn't supposed to do that, and so don't go hitting nobody with a shovel, you'll get hung. But anyway, Bart comes to town, and at first the townspeople, which is an all-white town, he's a black sheriff. They don't like him at all, and then he wins the town over, and they all come together, and he brings the guys from the railroad in, and they all come together: the white people, the black people, the Chinese people, and the Irish. Okay, we'll take the Irish, and they all come together and they defeat the bad guys.
Yeah,
So
love the movie, but it's one of those movies that these days makes white people a little nervous that we kind of enjoy it and find some humor in it because it does get a little, where it's like, oh, I'm not sure if it's okay that we thought that was funny, kind of things, but ultimately, I think there can be some growth in humor.
oh, definitely. And I think too, sometimes we got to worry about. I don't know. I think sometimes when we are able to laugh at ourselves, understand it leads to more understanding. But I definitely hear what you're saying.
Yeah,
So
because
that definitely makes sense.
if I don't laugh at myself every day, somebody else will.
We
I
need
see
that on a
next on the
t-shirt.
list is the pair of movies, and that was the Gene Wilder, Richard Pryor combination, and
I
Silver
put those on
Streak
there.
is stir crazy.
I put that on
Go
there
ahead, Kenny.
because Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor, prior to Gene Wilder with Cleavon Little on Blazing Saddles, because technically Richard Pryor was supposed to have the Cleavon Little role, but the studio was
Yeah.
too scared to go with Richard Pryor because Richard Pryor was at the time so cutting edge. But Richard Pryor did Stir Crazy and Silver Streak, and I guess they played off the black white thing in that, and they came together to do what they had to do. But one of the things is it was always Richard Pryor teaching Gene Wilder about the streets and them coming together and doing what they had to do. And I guess the classic thing is something I don't know if they would ever show on TV with Silver Streak on regular TV. The scene where Gene Wilder has to go on blackface to get by the police.
Oh,
I don't know.
I'm not familiar with that one. I do remember
Yeah,
Stir Crazy, but I don't
Silver
remember Silver
Streak
Streak.
Silver Streak is a good movie. Just about everybody who stars in it is dead. You know.
Then it's a
No,
classic.
it's a classic. Richard Pryor, Gene Wilder, Scatman Crothers.
Oh, I love
Who's the lady?
Scatman.
Who's the lady? The lady in it who starred in it, she's dead too. Everybody's dead. Everybody's dead.
Okay.
But it's a good movie.
Oh, bless your heart. Okay.
I put in a Lethal Weapon franchise next. I don't know why.
Okay, go ahead.
Because the Lethal Weapon with Danny Glover and Mel Gibson, being two cops who are different colors. They really didn't. There was a couple of movies out of that franchise where they did deal with color, where they did the South Africa thing and everything like that. And I think that was Lethal Weapon 2. where what's his name was started starring in, and we get okay, you know, Leo Getz. He played the lead. I forget his name. He was in so many different movies. I can't remember his name, but that's why I put the Lethal Weapon franchise, because they did deal with the part. They did deal with the fact of him being black and them dealing with some things because he's black. And Mel Gibson, you know, championing along with Danny Glover in these cases.
Okay, that's
That
where are we on the list? We're moving up because some of these I don't agree with. Actually, I didn't see 42.
Oh,
Somebody's
you
got to
gotta
help me
see
with that one.
42. What? And I got my Jackie Robinson when Kenny put it on the list before I could get it to it. I thought I'd grab my my Jackie Robinson jersey. Yes, you got to see that. That is a quality movie. Also, I put a little slash the Jackie Robinson Story, which is a movie made in 1950.
Yes.
He stars in it himself. He plays himself in it, which is really super cool. And I'll try not to dominate for the next little while, but I love me some Jackie Robinson. You know that.
No, it's all right. Dominate.
And so what's really cool is I kind of got into him. I'm a Dodgers fan, always have been, you know, since I was a kid. But are you guys still here? I just see myself. Okay, I'll just keep talking.
Right, when if you're going, I'm going to let you go.
Oh, sorry. My daughter is kind of a history nerd like her dad, and she's especially interested in things that happen on her birthday. And April 15th is her birthday. That's Jackie Robinson Day. The day actually she was born on the 50th anniversary, 1997, 50 years after we. So she got kind of interested in him when she found that out. Her teacher actually showed her the Jackie Robinson Story movie, I think third or fourth grade. They watched it in class, and then she came home and got me to watch it. And so I actually kind of became more and started really learning more about him. You know, I'd always been like, oh yeah, he was a Dodger, you know, but then when I really started looking at really all that he did, he's become a real personal hero of mine. So both movies excellent, but you got to see 42.
42.
Yeah.
Chadwick
It's got to be
Boseman
on the
does a
list.
great.
Now, I have
does
seen
a
the
great
Jackie
job.
Robinson Story. And I think I forgot who the lead in that was. I don't know whether I've seen that. Men of Honor. Who put that on the list?
I put Men of Honor with
Mhm.
Robert De Niro and Cuba Gooding Jr. because that was all about race, and that was about it was a true story about a guy who wanted to progress, but he couldn't move ahead in the Marines, or what was he in the Navy. He couldn't get afford the Navy at first because he was a black man, and they tried to make him quit because he was a black man in the 50s in the Navy. And Robert De Niro at first, when he first met him, was that character that tried to hold him back. And for him to graduate, he did something that got Robert De Niro demoted, because Robert De Niro saw his heart and finally let him get promoted, what he should have did. And then later on, as Brashear, that was his name, Brashear, in real life, as he lost his leg serving in the Navy, and he had to want to get reinstated, and Robert De Niro was the guy who came back and helped him get reinstated. Even though he was a big racist at first, but he kind of explained that was the times and that was expected of him to do. So, which didn't excuse it, but he eventually, towards the end, helped Cuban Gooding Jr.'s character, Bashir, win his status back.
So it's a little bit of, it made me think of Officer and the Gentleman. I forgot about that relationship between Richard Gere and Louis Gossett Jr.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I forgot about that relationship.
Kind of like the opposite of that. Now the next two, I don't know who put these on the list, but I'm saying
That
no.
would be
Go ahead,
that
Kenny.
would be KP.
Yes, it was.
What were you thinking? God, explain your rationale.
Okay, my rationale here
I'm
is,
embarrassed to say. I would say, actually, I think I've never seen any of the Fast and the Furious franchise, but I have seen the Harold and Kumar.
Yeah, I haven't
Well,
seen
okay.
those.
Can I can
Um,
I can I can
so,
I explain myself real briefly here? Okay, real briefly, I'm gonna explain myself. Harold Kumar is a comedy. It's a raunchy comedy, but it's about an Asian guy. It's about two Asian guys basically. One Asian guy, one Indian guy, and they're going through life and the racism that they go through because they are not white. And they go through when they go through their journey, like in the first one, there's a big scene where these guys are punking them because the guy is Indian and he's making fun of a store owner who's Indian, and they just do go through that. So and there was one scene where they're in Jersey, and this is true in Jersey, very true in Jersey. They look one way, they look another way, they don't see a cop around. As soon as they walk against the light, here comes a cop out of nowhere trying to arrest them, and they take them to jail. They take one of them to jail, and when he gets to jail, there's a black guy in jail, and he goes, "Well, what'd you do?" He goes, "Nothing. I was just somewhere black," and they, you know. And so soon as something happened, the cops all came back and they beat up the black guy for no reason because they thought somebody was trying to escape. And it was showing the racial climate. And these two Asian guys, one Indian, one Asian, but Indians considered Asian, and them going through the cultures and getting to where they had to go, which is White Castle get a burger. And the second one, did the same thing because they were foreign looking, even though they were American. The police were after them because they thought they were terrorists, and they were just two college boys with marijuana on a plane.
Okay, and I'm getting feedback from some folks. Oh, thank you, Talanda. She's joining us from the Income Stream. That's another live show I listen to every day. And evidently, I'm blurry because Mom is saying the same thing too. I don't know why I'm blurry. It might be the cheap webcam that I'm using because I haven't figured out how to use my DSL camera. But that's probably why I'm coming in blurry. Hopefully you can hear me. And as we move on down the list, where are we on the list, peoples?
Patch of Blue.
Patch of Blue.
You
That's
are
an
blurry.
old movie. What's the
We are
I'm
story
not
there?
familiar with that one.
Okay, Patch
Yeah.
of Blue is Sidney Poitier. This is the second Sidney Poitier thing I have on the list. Patch of Blue is a story of a guy, a black guy who meets a blind young lady and helps her out, basically. But she doesn't realize that the guy is black the whole time. And then when she finds out that he is, she doesn't care. But her mother, who takes care of her, who's played by Shirley MacLaine, was it Shirley MacLaine? Anyway, her mother,
Surely, yeah.
Shelley something.
Shelley
Anyway,
Winters?
Shelley Winters, yes.
Oh,
Her mother who takes care of her,
oh, okay.
a friend says, sees them together and tells the mother, and the mother beats her for being seen with a black guy, and she goes to the city Poitier and goes, I don't care. I don't care that you're black. And he winds up getting the girl help and sending her off to a school away from her mother who is slutty and her grandfather who is a drunk. So, A Patch of Blue. It's a good movie. It's in black and white. Go see it, rent it, whatever you have to do to see it. It's a great movie.
Okay, Patch of Blue. We need to move on. My goodness, we're still in the movie. So let's go through the next one. You have a couple on here from Spike Lee. We got Jungle Fever as well as Do the Right Thing. And Do the Right Thing, that movie I'm actually hearing a lot of talk about now as they talk about the character Radio Raheem. And again, in that particular movie, it kind of the climax was, the racial tensions being so intense that at one point, they burned down the pizza parlor.
Yes.
We go to the point of marches
And
and that intensity.
It kind of resonates a little bit. I'm sorry. It kind of resonates a little bit because they did kill Radio Raheem with a chokehold.
Okay, right. So some of the themes from that movie are coming back again. I especially have a kind of connection with that movie because I know when it came out, It was one of those movies that at the time I was living in New York, living in Brooklyn. They actually had a forum
Oh,
about the movie with Spike Lee and some other actors from the movie, just talking about it and talking about those themes. And I actually met my good friend Daryl Lina at that particular screening afterwards, and that was kind of one of the, how this thing happens and this thing happens because that thing happens. But meeting him actually got me to the point where I got on stage and did stand-up comedy. So, but it was
Nice.
from
oh,
meeting
awesome.
after that and talking with him after that Do the Right Thing forum. But it also takes me back because that was mid 80s. I believe I'll get the exact release date in a minute. But we had
89,
a
I
forum, we
think.
talked about it. The themes in that movie are actually things that are happening today. So it just makes you wonder. It's kind of life imitating art, but have we? I guess the one thing I worry about with everything that's going on now in the world is, will we come out on the other side different or better? I kind of think we are, because more people are talking about it. I don't know, Bruce. What do you think on that?
Um, if we can get to the point where we stop screaming at each other and mocking each other, I think there's hope. I get discouraged sometimes. I mean, social media, of course, is what it is, and I don't know what it would have been like if we'd had it in the 80s, around something like that, or back in the 60s when things were, those kind of things were happening. But I mean, we've got people, screaming at each and insulting each other over masks, which just makes me think, oh dear Lord. But
Yeah.
I do think that there are glimmers of hope, and when we take time to just talk to people and listen, and whether it's over an opinion issue or whether it's over just differences that we have that are inherent in our, in our race or our culture, if we can listen to each other, I think there's hope. But we've got to. It's got to start with listening and hearing people, and having those conversations, which is why I'm really excited to be hanging out with you guys.
Oh, that's so cool. We're excited as well. This is so weird because when I watch the feed on either Facebook, or I do see how it's blurry, but yet when I'm looking at it through StreamYard, which is the service I'm using to do the live streaming, it looks so sharp and clear. So I apologize. Hopefully you can still hear me. Next on the list, whose selection is the next one? Number 11, Hairspray.
That was me. That was me.
Always you. Now, which Hairspray? The most recent one?
I'm gonna go with the one with Divine in it. The old one with Divine.
Oh, you're going old school. Okay.
I
All
went
right.
old school. And the other one too with John Travolta.
Okay. All right. So
both
that's the
John
new one.
Is that
So
the
you can't even
musical?
decide.
Yes.
You can't
Yes.
even decide.
Hairspray
Hey,
the
but
music?
I see
Okay.
we have some listeners on, so we just want to give a shout out. As always, our dad is in the house, always supporting. Good show. Thank you so much, Dad. We appreciate you. Appreciate the folks that are out there. If you are out there, consider giving us a like, a thumbs up. If you're checking us out on YouTube, consider subscribing. You'll get the alert when we go live. We are talking kind of our, I guess I call it the Ebony and Ivory show, just talking
Yes.
as the country talks about race and deals with race. We're taking it from our pop culture standpoint. So we're not trying to get too deep, although we do a couple times, but just taking a look at what that looks like in the movies. We got a lot of movies here, guys. I don't even think we're going to get to the other ones. So let's going back up the list, because I see on the list was a movie that was kind of controversial when it came out, and that is Crash.
Yes. I put Crash on there.
I didn't see
kind
that.
of
I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
you should see Crash. Very. I know it's
Okay,
been a while since I've
I'll
seen
put
it.
it. I'll put it on
But
my
it was
list.
put it on your list. But it was a very scene with police that was very
Oh,
controversial and
Kathy's
very
telling me not to put it on my list.
I know I'm blurry, but listen to me, people. And again, one of the things with Crash, it was told through a lot of different little vignettes and had a lot of different stars. But I don't know. I think the aim was to kind of deal with race, but I don't think they pulled it off. And I don't know. It just left me very unsatisfied. And I I don't think it's worth being on the list.
I saw it once.
So
It's
far
not a
on the
movie I would
like
try to watch
Woodlawn,
again.
Woodlawn, I definitely want to see. That can go on the list. But
Yeah.
Crash, I think you'd be okay leaving that off the list. If you disagree, if you're in the comments, please leave a comment. Let me know. I could be wrong, but I don't think I
Call us.
am.
You can call us too.
Okay, yeah, you can call. Let me put the number back up.
Now, also the next one is Black Klansman.
Okay, that's a fairly recent one, correct?
That's a fairly recent one, and that's the story of the gentleman who infiltrated the Black Klan with the help of a white guy, and they took down this section of the of the Ku Klux Klan. So that was pretty good. That was people working together, different races, to do an overall good. Next
Okay.
we have Hidden Figures,
Ah,
Oh, love
Hidden
that movie.
Figures.
Love that
which
movie.
had a great soundtrack.
Yes.
I don't. The soundtrack, just Hidden Figures. I think one of the reasons that was so great too is that was a story that not a lot of people knew, and it kind of brought it out to the world. So I think that was an important movie at the right time. And I think we
Here's
just
how
lost Katherine Johnson a couple of months ago at
yeah, we did.
103 or.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we did. And I remember seeing Hidden Figures. My friend Kamini and I took our daughters. She took her daughter, and I took the three girls to see Hidden Figures, and we all loved it.
Awesome. Okay, Sharon didn't see that movie. I'm not sure what movie. Hey, Sharon, our cousin
What
Sharon
did you not
Brown
see?
listening.
Hey, Sharon.
And thank you so much. Appreciate it. Uh,
Oh.
Mom wants to know, Kenny, did you do this whole list? Because you were just like one after the other. The next movie is The Hate You Give. The Hate You Give, and that is a recent movie.
Oh my God, this movie had me laughing. This movie made me cry. Oh my God, I just watched this movie last weekend with Olivia. Love this movie.
Oh, you just saw that movie?
No,
Because I read the book.
No,
and-
I saw it when it first came out because the girls read the book. But I brought the movie and we watch it again periodically, me and the girls.
Okay, excellent. Gosh, I got to figure out why I'm so blurry. I actually connected directly to the internet by cord and not by Wi-Fi. Yet I'm still blurry, so I'll work to figure it out. All right, who put this next one on there? The Help.
I did.
Okay, help me with that one because I'm not quite sure if I agree.
Yeah. Well, The Help was about these maids who in the 50s were standing up for themselves by telling their stories. And I see what you're saying because, like, it's your first thing, somebody coming in to be the savior because she wrote the story for them. So, I mean, to me, it was people working together to get a point across.
Okay, I hear you. We have a few new folks joining us on YouTube as well as on Facebook. Thank you guys so much for being here. This is Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture this week. Every week we take a different topic on. This week we're kind of talking ebony and ivory, kind of race and movies and music and TV. We're still going through the movie list. So this week might be movies only. We might have to come back next week for the music and TV because we didn't even hit the songs or the TV shows.
Yeah.
There's so many good movies on this list
Yeah.
that we're talking about. Kathy and Kenny talk pop culture with our special guest Bruce Roberts joining us here so that we have perspective. Number five. Oh yeah, we can clap for
To
Bruce.
kill it. All right,
Thank you.
Bruce.
Okay. The next on the list is To Kill a Mockingbird. Is that you too, Kenny?
Yeah, that was me too.
Great
Bruce
story,
and I didn't
great
add
story.
anything to this list. To Kill a Mockingbird.
I did mostly TV shows.
When you tell me
thinking a lot of
to
TV
come,
shows.
when you tell me to come through, I think about it all week, and then I write it all out on Saturday. I come through. What's up?
Okay, you come through. All right. But not everybody agrees with you because our mother says that should not be on the list. So, and,
Well, I'm
again,
500 miles away, so I can say you're wrong.
Okay, in the world of constructive criticism, she's telling you not to drink on camera, although I was getting parched, so I did have some water. Okay, and water. See, my Philadelphia accent just came out with my extra R. Next
Water.
on the list, West Side Story. West Side Story. Hmm.
Hmm. I
Is
put it
that
on
yours
there
too, Kenny?
because
You put it
yeah,
on, of course you did.
I did. I put it on the list because because of Tony and Marie's love for each other, at the end where they all helped carry Tony away, they did kind of come together. They did kind of realize that this fight is stupid, and they had to come together after Maria held a gun to everybody and threatened them.
Okay. All right. I'll go
Excuse
with
me.
you. And of course, this one I know had to be you on the next one was
Guess
Guess
who's
Who's
coming to
Coming to
dinner?
Dinner, because that's one of your favorite movies.
I was coming to put that in, and it was already there.
Well, guess who's coming to dinner? And my favorite line on Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, where Spencer Tracy is talking to Sidney Poitier, and he says, you can't tell me that the black kids dance better than the white kids. I see it on TV. And Sidney Poitier goes, you could do the Watusi, but we are the Watusi. So it's one of my favorite lines because it kind of brings it all together. But that movie is definitely a bring together movie.
And I think at the time when it was released, it again started the conversation that hopefully people are still having today. And even with this, I know usually we're talking comic books and movies and music and lighthearted fare. And today, a little heavier than usual, but I think too through the lens of entertainment, we can all kind of learn a little something, and as well as learning how to live and coexist together.
Yeah.
The next movie, these were the last two I put down because
We learned
remember
to
the
we learned to
Titans,
give. We
which
learned to live together.
go ahead, Bruce. I'm sorry.
Oh, I just said we learned to give. We learned to live together.
It-
The little line
it-
from the Ebony and Ivory. Yeah.
exactly. See, he's
Although I think I
referencing
butchered it. I think I butchered it. I don't.
the Remember the Titans, and that was
Oh,
again
great movie. Great movie.
in the
Yes,
vein
great
of I
Great
guess the Woodlawn
movie.
movie that you referred to
Yeah.
was a
Yes.
football movie, and that's the one too that again, as they come together and as this team comes together, learns how to work together, and that one too is based on a true story. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes, it
Yes.
is.
Okay,
It is.
based
Yes.
on
It
a true
is.
story,
Up in
and
Virginia. Yeah.
right. Remember the Titans.
Or down in Virginia, where I'm from. Down in Virginia. But
Well,
up,
again.
down, it's in Virginia, in the middle in Virginia.
So, and uh, also that one featured a young Ryan Gosling. So there you
Yes,
go.
a very young Ryan Gosling. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Straight
Child
out of Mickey
actor.
Mouse Club. Straight out of Mickey Mouse Club. There he is, all skinky and little skinny and everything. Not the hunk of a man he is now.
And again, the first movie I thought about when we talked about this is one of the first movies I remember seeing.
Okay. There we are.
Where I, again, and gosh, I can't remember what grade I was in. I think it was like fourth or fifth grade. But
Yeah.
when this movie came out, seeing the bond between these two players, black and white, was Brian's song. So
Which is
that was
about,
James
which is a
Caan
true story. Yeah.
and
Yeah. True story.
that
Billy D.
pretty much
Williams.
true story, Brian Piccolo, and Billy D. Williams,
Billy D.
and
Williams.
so I
And it's
definitely
about
had that on the list. Ed
true
Ed
story
is
of
here,
Brian.
and Ed is in the house as always with the
Higher
goodies.
learning.
Higher learning.
I
I forgot.
saw that on one of the lists I was looking up, and I didn't put it on there because I've never seen Higher Learning.
You never. Oh, that's right. You don't
Yeah,
like Spike Lee.
I haven't seen that either.
I
Oh, it's
wasn't.
another Spike Lee joint.
I think it was a Spike Lee joint, and it wasn't one of my favorites. So, yeah,
Can I say Spike Lee joint? Is that okay?
Don't say joint unless you got one. What? No.
Oh,
no.
my
No, you can say
Uh,
Spike Lee joint. You can say Spike Lee joint. Speaking of
That's what
Spike
he
Lee
told them.
joints,
my kids cringe when I say
Whenever you throw the
cultural
sling
things.
around.
Yeah. Yeah.
speaking of speaking of Spike Lee, George, off the subject, but you have to see The Five Bloods.
The Five Bloods.
The Five Bloods.
Are the Bloods? Is that what it's called? Is it The Bloods or The Five Bloods?
Okay. Is that a new movie or?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It's a Netflix.
Oh, it's a Netflix.
Okay.
Okay.
The Bloods. The Bloods.
Okay. All right.
So it's a great movie. Great movie. Check it out. So real quick, you know, so we can get things in. I'm going to tell you some Everything and Ivory comic book teams. There's Power Man and Iron Fist. There's Cloak and Dagger. And there's Captain America and the Falcon, which we've seen in the movies.
Well, that one I can't talk about. Actually,
had.
Kenny, I've been kind of. I need to switch over because I got my own Disney Plus account, but I've been watching Disney movies, and or I was going to try to watch them in order, but I was watching Captain America because I'd never seen any of them. So I see what you mean with Captain America and the Falcon because I just watched those this week.
In the comic books, there's a deeper connection also.
Okay. See, I don't know enough about comic books, so I can't.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Cloak and Dagger is also, it was a show on TV and it's on Hulu now, but it's The Five Bloods. That's my dad has it. Cloak and Dagger is a young black man and a young white woman who both have powers, and they were in an explosion together. And Power Man and Iron Fist you've seen on Netflix, and they actually, have a history of working together. So let's move on to music because we have a short list of music.
Okay, the music list is pretty short, so let's go ahead with the music. All right, number 5. Somebody put down "The Girl Is Mine." That was who was that? Michael Jackson and
that's the Paul McCartney. It's the
that's
the other Michael Jackson Paul McCartney song. Yeah.
Yes,
that was actually the first one that was on Thriller, I think. I
think you're right. Yeah.
Or was it on Off the Wall? I don't remember. But the Girl Is Mine was, and actually Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney were good friends at one point, and I'm sure they could relate because Michael Jackson coming from the Jackson 5, all that fandom with the girls and the craziness. Paul McCartney coming from the Beatles with all that craziness. But I think their friendship took it was totally 86 when behind Paul's back, Michael.
Yeah, Michael purchased.
He purchased all the rights to the Beatles songs.
The man made a power move.
Oh yeah.
The man made a power move.
I think I now remember.
Yeah, he made a power move. You can't be mad at him. You can't be mad at him.
All right, the next one in music you guys have is
I put "We Are the World" because you had the rock guys, you had the R&B guys, and they mixed together and they made this beautiful song. We are the world. We are and it was great.
But you got to explain why was LaToya
I
in
just
there?
heard that on the radio this morning. They were talking about it on
LaToya Jackson is a musical
icon. Is she
icon.
in it?
Yeah, she's in the
Why? Why is LaToya there?
Wait a minute.
The same reason Dan Aykroyd was there. Yeah. The same. She didn't sing it solo though. She didn't sing it solo.
Okay.
The same reason Dan Aykroyd was there.
He did sing a little with the Blues Brothers. He and John Belushi did a.
Yeah, Dan Aykroyd was in the chorus too.
So but Dan Aykroyd, he was in the Blues Brothers. He had a hit, but LaToya, can you name her hit?
Tito was there, okay? Tito was there. If Tito could be there, LaToya.
Tito
was there. Marlon was there.
But I guess "We Are the World." At the time it was recorded, it did have just a diverse showing. Was kind of in response to what was done in London with the "Do They Know It's Christmas Time?" I believe that recording was actually first. Yeah. But it was mainly a British artist. Next on the list, who's responsible for that one?
"Walk This Way." And the reason I put "Walk This Way,"
I mentioned it.
The reason I put "Walk This Way" real quick is because back in those days in the 80s, MTV was first coming out. "Walk This Way" came out, and I remember when we went to school in Haddon Heights, it was a very mixed school, and Lawnside was all black kids. Haddon Heights and Barrington, predominantly white kids. And when we got together, we didn't know too much about rock. They didn't know too much about R&B and rap. And something MTV helped bridge that gap. And with a song like "Walk This Way," where the most prominent rap group at the time was doing something with one of the most prominent rock groups, it kind of brought people together. "Walk This Way," I like to
Yeah.
play. I play "Walk This Way" for my kids and explain that whole scenario to them. They're tired of hearing about it. They're tired of hearing about it. But I keep doing it. I keep doing it. Damn it, you're gonna hear the
What's
story.
funny is I didn't know about the Aerosmith version until after the Run DMC there because I didn't really know a lot of rock music. You know, I mean, I listened to just kind of general music, and I was only, I think, about 10 when the Aerosmith, maybe 11 or 12, but I was just kind of getting into music at that time. So I wasn't coming from the perspective of, oh, here's that rock song I know really well. Now somebody else is doing it different. I really dug, I guess. Yeah, digged is not a good grammar. I really liked the Run DMC and Aerosmith version, and then I found out later, oh, that was actually their song that they had done, and so now I enjoy both versions.
Well,
but,
Bruce, if you still like the song, you still dig it. I still dig the song.
Oh, I still dig it. Oh, I dig it.
Yeah, I dig it. I dig it. I did the song. On one of my
know
bands.
how old you are.
One of my bands, we used to do that song, but we did it in a more funkier way, and we did "Walk This Way." Yeah, I did the walk, and then my drummer, he was like more of a rock. He go "Walk This Way," and I'd be like, "Good girl."
Hey, Kenny, you're breaking the first rule of Fight Club. There's no singing on Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture. Next on the list, Say was probably the more popular or well-known of the Michael Jackson, Paul McCartney duos.
Which was
and all
kind of
teachers
creepy.
are appreciative. I was going to say, all teachers are appreciative of them giving us our EOG testing theme song, where we know when we get to hit those says in the testing manual.
Which is kind of,
Yes,
the video
any
was kind of
educator
creepy.
will know when we're doing that testing training, when we get to the say part. At least the training the way I did it.
Kenny, why do you say the video was creepy? What were you?
Because because Michael Jackson's love interest was his sister in the video.
That was creepy.
Was it?
LaToya was in that video.
LaToya was that video.
Oh,
she was Michael's love interest. That was a little creepy.
Oh, okay.
I
just remember it all being about the med. I actually forgot about that part of the video. I just always remember the medicine man. Paul and I think Linda were coming through town selling the snake oil.
That's really when people should have started questioning Michael when he couldn't find another girl to be his love interest in the video. That's when you should have started questioning me. You waited till later.
Which actually, now that I think about it, what does the song have to do with traveling snake oil salesman? I don't know.
I don't know. Who knows?
It was the early 80s. They just made videos that were cool that may not even had anything to do with anything. I still can't figure out what the tiger has to do with Billie Jean. But that's a whole different...
Oh, never got that one at all.
I think it was just something cool they could do with the camera.
But the last song the first song on the list, I actually put it on there, and that is Ebony and Ivory, and that was, of course, Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder doing that. And I know there are tons of songs, because Kenny, you know what? I didn't put another Tina Marie song because you know my go-to, but that we could have put on there. So that was a shorter list.
What song was that?
Fire and Desire. What?
Oh,
you know Fire and Desire. But anyway, Ebony and Ivory was no singing. But
I won't sing it because I don't want to violate the rules. But I just happened to be listening to Ebony and Ivory the other day, and sometimes it's sort of like, man, can we just get the simple things? And at one point he says, we all know that people are the same wherever we go. There's good and bad in everyone. We learn to give, we learn to live, or learn to give each other what we need to survive. That's pretty deep. And like, if we could just get that, we see the bad things in every group, and too often we see the bad things in someone, and we want to extrapolate that to the whole group. And sorry, not to get too down.
No.
With it, but I think that's where we go sideways with a lot of things is without forgetting that hey, there's some good things going on in every culture and every group, and there's also some things that need to be worked on and addressed. But we got to remember that celebrate the things that are different about us, but don't let those become the things that divide us and lead to hate.
That is so
Well
Okay,
put.
somebody say something funny.
Well put.
so well said. No,
Well
well
put.
said, definitely. And
I got
I
nothing
think
funny. I
that
got
was
nothing funny.
well, thank you, Kenny. But I think that's one of the points we wanted to make by kind of looking at how we've looked at black and white relationships through movies, through music. We had television also, but we're not going to have enough time to get to it, and that's quite all right.
Oh,
But we so appreciate Bruce Roberts for joining us
all
on
right,
the
Bruce.
stream.
Oh,
And
thank you for
All
having
right,
me.
Bruce.
again, we got to cheer him.
I love
I
I love listening to you guys talk, and I can't type very fast, so I'm always trying to type in a comment, and you guys are sometimes off to the next thing already. It's like, so I'm trying to keep up. I'm always trying to be in the conversation with you sometimes on the show because I think it's so fun what you guys are doing, and it's just fun, And of course, Kathy, we can geek out about pop culture, in particular the 80s.
Definitely.
I can just
Definitely. Well, Bruce, we so appreciate you joining
Yes, we
us
do.
today. And I know you were at your reception and you had family things going on. And we're just so glad that it was over in
Thank
time
you.
for you
Thank
to
you very
join
much.
us.
Thank you.
And we
I
appreciate
have
you
a
being here.
daughter-in-law, which is so weird. I have a daughter-in-law that's like just it's awesome, but it's like wow.
Well, wait till you start having
maybe I am too
grandkids
old to
because
be.
Kenny's
Maybe I am
experiencing
too
that
old to be
now.
calling it a Spike Lee joint.
Yeah. No, you're not. You're not. I do a lot of things when my kids tell me that I am not cool enough to do anymore. So you're okay. You're okay. And like Kathy said, when do you become a grandfather?
Whew. So you'll be
Yeah, that's a whole
grandpa.
different. Yep, that's a whole different
Yeah.
animal right there.
Yeah. I don't know.
So
I need
again,
a little bit more time for
and
that.
you know what? You're getting the Maggie Walker seal of approval because
Oh, wow.
with your comments
I'm
as we close
honored.
the
I'm
show,
honored.
you said,
Minute.
well said, which she doesn't even say that to her own son. So
You don't tell me things like that.
once again, Bruce Roberts, we so appreciate you.
I'm
Thank
not gonna
you
do
so
it no
much.
more.
Can you be
Thank
quiet?
you.
I'm trying to close out the show. We so appreciate you being here and being a part of the stream. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you very much.
Thanks for letting me come and share a few ideas and thoughts.
All right.
Much appreciated. Oh, we're still on?
We are still on. I have a closing too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in your mouth. Yeah, there's a closing. So just want to take this time to thank you folks who tuned in. I know I got the whole blurry screen going on. I'm working on it. I thought I hooked up straight to the internet. It would be better, but it's this Aver Media webcam thingy that is not the best quality. So we'll work on something different for next week, and hopefully we can improve. Maybe I'll do it just from my laptop.
Before we close out, I want to give a shout out to Bruce Coles, to Damon, who's listening, Justine and Angel, Chris Swanson, and Francine. Friend of mine, Francine had a few comments about it. She liked our show, and yeah. So Jennifer Murphy, I think our cousin Abina was listening, but yeah, I want to thank everybody who listened in to us. And Dion.
Dion.
Oh, wow. Dion's a friend of mine, and I'm glad you got a chance to listen, Dion. Thank you.
And thank you so much. We appreciate it. We appreciate you, folks, for tuning in. Saturday night, 8:30, we do an hour talking about pop culture, talking about different things, different topics. You can find us on our Facebook page. I'm still working on the website, but it's Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture. As you see, our friend Bruce joined us. I think next week we might be hearing from Ed. So
Well, hopefully
again,
we can get on Ed. If you're still listening, reach out to us, reach out to me, because we'd
Ed
love to get you on
Ed
the
Brown will
show.
be in
Ed
the house.
Brown, and whatever idea you want to do, that's what we'll do. I forgot, what was the idea you put in before?
I got to go back and look at the list. But
Yeah,
once
we gotta
again,
go back
one,
and look
thank
at
you
it.
for joining us.
Thank you.
If you found something interesting, if you had a comment that you didn't put in, that's okay. We'll be here next Saturday. You could throw it in because I know some of you'll be barbecuing. It's the 4th of July. You'll be partying. But guess what? We'll be here. We're still kind of quarantining ourselves.
Because we can't find
staying
dates.
in and staying safe.
We
So
can't
we'll
find
be
dates.
here.
That's why we said that's why we're here Saturday nights. We can't find dates.
Okay.
I
See, and
should
this
have had a date tonight.
okay. Not only can I remove him, I also realize I have the power to mute him. Oh, I'm all powerful. No, Kenny, you're back.
Wow.
But we do thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. I'd appreciate it if you're watching us on YouTube to give us a subscribe, a thumbs up, a like. If you're joining us in the Facebook group, be sure to like the group so you can hear about what we're doing. Also, if you get a chance, check out on my other channel, my podcast, Year of APing Dangerously. You can find that on Apple, Spotify, and now Pandora, wherever you get your podcast, as well as our new podcast, Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture, the podcast. So we cut up and just give you the best parts of this show. So hopefully you can check that out. And that's it. We are out of here.
Okay.
We're out of here. Got the closing. You ready for the closing?
I'm ready for the closing.
And with the closing.
And with the closing.
Thank you for geeking out with Kathy and Kenny on Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture.